Hey, everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. Thanks for joining me. Please take a second to hit subscribe, to hit share, to hit thumbs if those are involved, to hit middle finger, give it one middle finger up if you're into it. Please take a second to tweet people and that kind of shit. As many of you have seen in the mainstream media, it's definitely a mainstream media story. Women's rights are getting just categorically, catastrophically, other cats destroyed. You know, they've been going after a woman's right to choose, a woman's right to have control of her own body. They've been going after that for years, but this seems to be the big one. This seems to be much larger than before in many ways. So, for those of you who have not seen, the Supreme Court, the SCOTUS, or as I like to call them, SCROTUS, because it just sounds far grosser. The Supreme Court did not hear a case. Now, that sounds like, well, they didn't really do anything, but they did. By not hearing this case, they have essentially allowed what the case is about to continue. And what that is basically destroys a woman's right to choose in states where where they're putting forward these laws. It destroys them after 6 weeks, which, as many of you know, most women or many women don't even know they're pregnant within 6 weeks. So you may very well find out you're pregnant after the time where it's even feasible to legally get an abortion. But let me get into some of the details of this before I get into what your mainstream media probably won't tell you about it. So Sotomayor wrote a blistering, as they say, blistering dissent where she said that the Supreme Court is burying their head in the sand. This is from Common Dreams. The conservative U.S. court issued an unsigned order in the dead of night Wednesday, leaving Texas's draconian abortion ban in place, a move that effectively overturns Roe v. Wade and imperils reproductive rights across much of the United States. The court's decision, which went against Sotomayor, Kagan, Breyer, and John Roberts, so they were the dissenters. It lets stand basically this restrictive, crazy Texas law, an unprecedented law that deputizes private citizens to sue anyone who performs an abortion or aids and abets someone performing an abortion after 6 weeks. Now, what that does is it means that even if these people are wrong, let's say that you have an abortion clinic and they strictly do exactly this thing, like, okay, we only do it before 6 weeks or whatever. It means they're going to be dealing with an endless number of lawsuits, and they basically can't function like that. Not to, on one hand, just because of the amount of time they have to spend in courts and with lawyers, et cetera. But on the other hand, because if they were to lose them, they would lose their license. If they, even if they win them, they've probably spent a lot of money fighting them. So it basically crushes the ability to have an abortion clinic in a state. The law's empowerment of private citizens rather than state officials to enforce the abortion ban was designed to make the new restrictions difficult to challenge in court. And here's where we get into bounties. They offered a bounty, basically, Texas did, for you to out anyone who got or performed an abortion. Plaintiffs who win their lawsuits against abortion providers and others, potentially including those who drive a person to a clinic to obtain an abortion, are entitled to $10,000 and their legal fees. So they basically put something in a law that's a bounty for outing and suing someone who got an abortion. This is straight. This is law. This is what they now call lawfare. We can't attack them physically, although we may want to. So we'll just attack them through the courts and destroy their lives. And that's what they've succeeded in doing. So by not taking up this issue, by the Supreme Court ignoring to take up this issue, they have tacitly allowed it to continue. Apparently 22 states have or are working on similar laws, meaning now that the Supreme Court hasn't taken this up, you very well may have essentially abortion bans in 22 states. And then here's one of the responses from Sotomayor, part of the response from Sotomayor, the act is clearly unconstitutional under existing precedents. The respondents do not even try to argue otherwise, nor could they. No federal appellate court has upheld such a comprehensive prohibition on abortions before viability under current law. Taken together, the act is a breathtaking act of defiance of the Constitution, of this court's precedents, and of the rights of women seeking abortions throughout Texas. So now, in a minute, I'll get into what your mainstream media is not covering. That part they've probably told you. There are many people obviously furious about this, many people talking about how horrific it is by the Supreme Court, how horrific it is by Texas. I think that all of this is fine as long as men agree to allow and sign into law something that says anytime they buy a condom or use like a Viagra or like have a vasectomy or anything, that's all got to go through got to go through women and got to go through the legislature. So I think because as long as you're gonna give away a woman's body to the state in this regard, then I think men should just do the same. Show we're willing to also give our bodies up to the state to decide what the fuck to do with them. So anyway, that's from Sotomayor. But many people are. Here's some of what you're not getting from mainstream media, probably. I assume, even though I don't watch that much of it because I don't like for my brain to ooze out my ears. But many people online and on mainstream media are blaming the left for like getting Trump elected in the first place or whatever the fuck, which is utter nonsense, right? I mean, the reason Trump won was because and they're doing these multiple leaps. Well, the Supreme Court did something shitty. It's 5-4. Trump put in 2 Supreme Court justices, Trump, and replaced RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, with a right winger. So Trump is at fault. And who got Trump elected? Well, clearly the left wing. Fuck no, that is not true. Obviously, we've been through this before, but Trump got elected because Hillary Clinton was a fucking catastrophe. Everyone knew she was. Her popularity rating and her history meant that even if she won, it was going to be by the narrowest of margins. But the Democratic Party rigged their primary to make sure Bernie Sanders could not win that. So you ended up with Trump versus Hillary in an election that Trump won because fucking no one likes Hillary because she is a neoliberal piece of shit. So that's on you, Democratic Party. You should take that for yourselves. Just keep it real close to your heart right there. Another reason that, and there's multiple people you should blame this decision on or what's going on in Supreme Court. For one thing, we could talk about the fact that Joe Biden could change it right now. Joe Biden could, and his administration could get rid of the filibuster along with Congress, right? Biden and Congress are both Democratic right now. They own both houses. So they fucking can't talk when it comes to this shit. They run the entire government. They could get rid of the filibuster. They could then pass the laws they want to, if they wanted to change this type of thing. They could add members to the Supreme Court, which, by the way, the Supreme Court has not always been 9 justices. It has fluctuated over time. It's just been 9 for a good long while. But the Supreme Court is a fucking ridiculous, undemocratic, oligarchic, fucking bullshit institution. Okay? So I know, now, if you grew up in the United States, you probably worship the Supreme Court. You probably, or you were trained to, like, oh, they're just holy. They just fucking, it's amazing how they just know everything. And they're pieces of shit, just like most people in the oligarchy. They help run this society. They help make sure that things cannot change. Now, many times they defend some small bit of change, but if you saw like a large scale change to this country, like a move away from capitalism, like nationalizing oil companies and big banks, the Supreme Court would step in for the oligarchy and stop those things. So people hold up the Supreme Court like it is this magical, wonderful institution. It's completely undemocratic. These people are in there for life. Listen, when they decided that Supreme Court justice should be in there for life, people lived to 40, okay? They died of like gangrene of the cock at age 35, all right? They died of, as long as I'd made a cock one, I now have to do it. They died of lockjaw of the pussy at age 42. They died much. So now they're living to 900 and they're in there for fucking ever. It's ridiculous. Supreme Court is a ridiculous institution. These are oligarchs decided by the oligarchy to help run the oligarchy. So, which is now a plutocracy, right? Ruled by the rich. So it's a ridiculous institution on so many levels. So when people say that the Democrats should add a couple of people to the Supreme Court in order to even things out and in order to make the changes that need to be done right now, et cetera, it's like the Democrats are pieces of shit. But also, I don't have any problem with adding Supreme Court justices because I don't think 9 Supreme Court justices is somehow holy, okay? You got to get that shit out of your head. These are not holy individuals. These are, many of them, corrupt, rich individuals. And just many of them far right-wing ideologues. And honestly, the things they differ on are things like this, are things like abortion rights. But they don't differ on a lot of what's going on in this world, which they should. If you really wanted to be like, oh, we have such different viewpoints at the Supreme Court, then you should have some fucking socialists on there, all right? You should have some eco-terrorists on there, which is not really a thing. But I just thought it'd be funny to say there. Eco-terrorism doesn't exist. Breaking a window or a pipeline it's not violence, okay, folks? Anyway, that was some of the reasons that you should blame the Democratic Party. Biden could change this right now. So as people run around going, hey, women are losing the right to their own bodies, just remember, Biden could change this. And Biden has a shitty history on this too. In 86, he voted to put Scalia on the court. Scalia, astronomical piece of shit. In 91, he botched the Anita Hill hearing. Now, most of you may vaguely remember that, or at least know what it is. Clarence Thomas was up for Supreme Court. Anita Hill came forward and said that he sexually harassed, and I can't remember if she said assaulted, but at the very least aggressively sexually harassed her. And rather than give her a full hearing and allow for other witnesses to say, yes, Anita Hill is correct, Biden was running the fucking thing. He was running the hearing at the Senate, and he didn't allow her to have enough time. He didn't allow other witnesses. So basically, he cut her off. And then in later years, he said, man, I wish we could have given Anita Hill a better hearing. You fucking ran the thing, you shithead. And so Clarence Thomas, who is the worst, he's the worst of the worst on the Supreme Court, he wouldn't be there right now if it weren't for Joe Biden. So thank Joe Biden for that. Oh, in 92, he argued that there should be no nominations on an election year. But then Republicans used that to get Neil Gorsuch in. So they're using Biden's argument in order to get their candidate in. In 93, during the RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg nomination, he stated the president should nominate judges from the opposing party sometimes. So Biden has been pretty shit on Supreme Court, and you have him to blame for what's going on right now. And in terms of the Democratic Party as a whole, larger scale, the Democratic leadership for years has stood by and allowed the gutting of Roe v. Wade, right? We've seen these laws go through in states. Meanwhile, the Democrats have supported Democratic nominees for, candidates for Senate and Congress, House, that often didn't support abortion rights. So the Democratic leadership sits there and goes, we really care about women. We really, think they should have a right to their own body. Oh, but we're going to support all these shitheads who don't actually believe that. So the Democratic leadership including Nancy Pelosi, and Hillary Clinton was the leader of the Democratic Party in many ways for years. They have stood by and watched and allowed the gutting of Roe v. Wade. And now they're going to use this to raise money to fight like hell or whatever they say. And it's like, you fucking allowed this. You created this situation. And then, so yeah, they allowed this to happen. They put this in place. They don't stand up for women in any regard. And then they act horrified that this ultimately happens. A lot of women are going to suffer right now because of this. And what was I had at least one more point. Oh, about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, everyone, speaking of treating them like they're holy, like Supreme Court justices are holy, Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have fucking left under Obama. You know where I stand. Both parties are fucking corrupt, so it's not like I really have a side here. I have sides on issues. I want certain issues to go certain ways, but the fucking parties are shit. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, though, if you take the Democratic view, right, then you wanted a Democratic president in office when the next Supreme Court justice was going to be selected so that he, meaning Obama, could put a Democratic leaning justice in there, like Sotomayor or Kagan. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg was there under Obama and was very old. She was very old even then. And all she had to do was realize, hey, I'm very old right now. I should probably leave under not in the last year, but before that, under a Democratic president, if I want someone to replace me on the court who has similar ideals. And instead, and I don't know what the backroom conversations were or whether there were any, but the Democrats allowed her to stay in, meaning I don't think they gave her any pressure to get out. And she, out of her own ego, fucking sat there until Donald Trump was in office. And then had the nerve to die. I mean, Jesus, some people always dying when it is least convenient. No, I'm not putting the dying on her. But the decision to stay in under Obama and wait and see what happened with Trump is fucking insane. I mean, it's crazy if you cared about those issues. So, and people when they're holding Ruth Bader Ginsburg up as some fucking saint, they seem to never mention this, that it was completely in her power to make sure that Donald Trump or whatever right-wing lunatic was not selecting the next Supreme Court justice. So I'm just saying all this so that when people try and hold this against you, like, you're left wing, you fucking got the Supreme Court to be, you're the one who caused women to lose the right to choose. No, do not blame it on the left wing, because that is lunacy and idiocy all mixed together into just a shit stew. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Please hit subscribe, and please subscribe at rockfin.com/Lee Camp. I'm coming to Los Angeles, performing in Los Angeles September 18th with Graham Elwood, live taping of our podcast, Government Secrets. That will be, it's at 3 p.m. September 18th, and tickets are at leecamp.com. Just hit the schedule tab. All right, guys, keep fighting.